What is the best way to live your life? There are so many people out there on the internet, on TV, in the streets, telling you how you should live your life to be happy, how to be fulfilled. They all seem to know the answer, but who is really telling the truth? How do you know who you should be taking advice from when it comes to living your life? I was on YouTube the other day and I saw that Matthew McConaughey now has a YouTube channel where he gives advice and his thoughts on things. And there's just so many celebrities now and so many talk show hosts and so many spiritual gurus out there. And they're all telling you, no, this is the way you should be living your life. If you want to be happy, if you want to be fulfilled, you should do this. You should eat this certain way, or you should do these spiritual exercises, or you should treat people this way, or you should do this for a living. And there are so many options out there. And what makes things tricky is because on social media, let's take any social media platform, let's say Instagram or whatever, you log on there and you see somebody talking and they look happy, they're smiling, and they're telling you, oh, if you want to be really happy, then you just need to meditate every day. For 20 minutes, go out and breathe through your nose and focus on your breath, and that'll make you really happy, like me. And I'm not, doubting that they might be happy. Maybe they are, but how do you know for sure that that person is happy? What if they're just faking it for the camera? What if they're actually miserable? What if their life is a mess, but because they have a social media business where they teach people how to meditate, they want you to buy their product, buy their course. They want to come off as being happy and enlightened so that you will buy their course and buy their book on how to meditate. Because if they were miserable, why would you take advice from them? Why would you buy their course? Why would you buy their book? They wouldn't be making any money. So unfortunately, social media, it's very easy to be fake and to act happy when really these people might not be happy at all. So that makes things complicated. Who should I take advice from if I don't know any of these people personally? They might say their life is all great on camera, but who knows what's actually happening behind the scenes? Are these people actually happy? And I'm not saying be a skeptic and be a cynic and say that everyone you meet is lying to you. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying if you're looking for the truth, how do you get there? Who do you take advice from? It's one thing if you live with somebody and you wake up every day and you see them and they're always smiling and they're always happy and they have a positive attitude and they enjoy their life and they're always talking about how much fun they're having and they're making a lot of money and they're doing all these cool things, and you look at them and you see them every day and they always seem to be happy, and you say to yourself, wow, I want to be that person. Like, I want to emulate their spirit. I want to emulate their energy. That's one thing, because you're actually seeing them with your own two eyes. You're around them, you're experiencing them. There is no separation between you and that person. But you don't get that experience on social media. You're separated by a screen. You only see what that person on the screen wants you to see. You only see the side of their life that they want you to see. So it becomes very tricky to know, all right, who out there is genuinely happy? Who out there is genuinely in love with their life? Who out there is genuinely enlightened and fulfilled and whole? It's very, very tricky. And it's easy to get caught in traps where you find a teacher that you really like and they really resonate with you, and you kind of become like obsessed with them, and they can do no wrong in your eyes. and you just hang on every word they say, and everything they say is truth. And this has happened to me. I have been there before. I have found teachers that I was obsessed with, and I listened to them all the time, and I didn't hear any opposing viewpoints because, oh, this teacher knows it all, and I just want to be like this teacher. And this went on for years. I've had multiple teachers like that in my life where it was like confirmation bias. It was like, I just wanted them to be right because I so desperately wanted to know how to live the best life possible. I wanted to know how to be the happiest, how to be the most confident, how to be the most successful. So I would just only focus on these teachers. And it's hard to say if there's anything wrong with that, because yes, I did learn a lot from these teachers, and they were what I needed at that stage in my life. They opened my eyes to new possibilities. They pierced the veil of illusion that I was living in. They challenged my beliefs. They forced me to try new things because I wanted to experience what they had. There were a lot of good things that came from being obsessed with these teachers. And I'm not going to sit here and say not to do that. Everyone is on their own journey. And with life, this reality, dream, virtual system that we're in, whatever you want to call life, this present moment, there is no rule book for life. There is no chalkboard in the sky that says, this is how to be happy. This is what you should be doing. God is not walking around in the streets telling people, all right, if you want to be the best human being, then do this. It is totally up to us to make sense of this reality, to make sense of this life. It is so mysterious, and there are so many different things you can be doing. And it's just hard to know what is the best thing to do at any given moment. Or in life in general, what path should you go down? What career should you choose? Who should you look for in a partner? What type of food should you eat? What type of TV or movies should you watch? And to make it even more complicated, if you do watch a movie that makes you feel bad, if you put on a horror movie, and you love horror movies, but afterwards you feel really bad, you feel like you're in a low vibration because the horror movie was so disturbing and so terrifying, and you have nightmares about it, well, guess what? There's nothing wrong with that. That is your choice. If you want to feel in a low vibration, no one is going to stop you. If you want to have nightmares for the next 3 nights from this horror movie, no one is going to say no. You have the choice to do that. Is that choice wrong? Is that a bad choice that you made? Well, I don't know. If everything is neutral, is that the wrong choice to do something that makes you feel bad? There's nothing really inherently wrong with it. It's just the decision you made. And you look back on those 3 days and you say, well, I had nightmares every night, but those nightmares were kind of interesting. And maybe I learned something about myself from those nightmares. Maybe in those nightmares I had a vision of a childhood bully that really bothered me. And I saw him from a different perspective. I learned something about that bully and why he treated me like that growing up. And I wouldn't have had that vision about that bully if I didn't watch that horror movie and have those nightmares. So there was some value in watching those horror movies. Even though they made you feel bad, you still gained a valuable insight from them. They still helped you to grow. And it's like that with literally everything. Literally everything in life is like that. Like every decision you make, there is good, quote unquote, and quote unquote bad that comes from that decision. But good and bad are just words that human beings have created. They're just labels that the ego has created. Really, is there such a thing as good and bad? Is there such a thing as right and wrong? if everything in this life is just neutral, everything is just energy, it's all just sights and sounds and sensations, it's all just happening, but our mind creates these labels and says, you shouldn't do this, you should do that. Well, if you want to feel bad all the time, that's your choice. Yeah, you're not really going to be happy. It's not going to be a very fun life if you're watching horror movies every night and having nightmares every night and always feeling on edge and always feeling anxious and angry. That's not a very enjoyable life. But is there anything wrong with that life? I don't know. I really don't know. I'm kind of exploring this stuff myself. Yes, I think we all want to be happy deep down. We all want to feel love. We all want to give love. We all want to be fulfilled. And the reason I know that is because our body tells us that. We have an emotional guidance system in our body that tells us when we're doing something that we don't like. So when you go to a job that you don't enjoy and you're around people that disrespect you or make you feel less than, that feels bad. You get negative emotions in your body. You get anger, you get sadness, you get fear, you get hate. These are all low vibration emotions that the body is creating to let you know, I don't like this. Whereas when you do something you really do enjoy, whether it's sitting out in nature or playing with your kids or watching a cool, fun movie that's exciting and has a happy ending, you start to feel good emotions. You start to feel happy and joy and gratitude and excitement. These are all higher vibration emotions. That's your body telling you, hey, I like this. Keep this up. Keep doing that. And we could say, well then, isn't that right? Isn't it right to feel those high vibration emotions and wrong to feel the negative emotions? I don't know. Because again, even the negative emotions are an experience. They're just an experience. They're no better than the higher vibration emotions, are they? You could say you enjoy one more, but just because you enjoy something, does that make it better than something else? If I enjoy a tuna sandwich more than a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, does that mean the tuna sandwich is better than the peanut butter and jelly sandwich? No, it's just a preference, right? The tuna sandwich is just a sandwich. It's just bread and ingredients. It has its own taste. It has its own characteristics. The peanut butter and jelly sandwich has its own components, its own taste, its own look. But they're just experiences. They're both just two different flavors. Negative emotions and positive emotions are the same way. They're just two different flavors of experience. So why is one good and one is bad? It's can be very confusing. And we do this with everything as humans, when we see an animal eat another animal, when we see a fox eat a squirrel, and the squirrel is in so much pain and it's such a horrible death because it's literally being eaten alive, do we say, oh, that's bad? Or do we say, no, that's just nature. That's just an experience happening. Is it good or bad? Well, it depends how you look at it. It's good for the fox, but it's bad for the squirrel. Now, what if a bear comes along and eats the fox? Well, then it's good for the bear and bad for the fox. So good and bad in the wild is subjective. There's no inherent good and there's no inherent bad. But all of a sudden when we start talking about humans, well, if somebody hurts me, then that's bad. But when I hurt somebody, that's good because I'm getting revenge. Well, no, it's subjective. Again, like with animals, your mind is putting labels on these two things. Like, why is one good and one's bad? Aren't they both just experiences? Aren't they both just things that are happening right now? If you get if you drive over a pothole on your way to work and you get a flat tire and you're late for that meeting that is wicked important, is that, you'd probably say that's bad. Oh my gosh, I'm late for this meeting. That's bad. But what if you were late to work and the building caught on fire and you would have been inside and you would have died? Is that good now all of a sudden? Oh yeah, that's good because I didn't catch on fire, I didn't die. Well, I mean, they're both just experiences though. They're just things that happen. So I agree. I mean, I'm not telling people to go, put themselves in danger. Obviously we want to live. It's hardwired in humans' bodies. We want to survive. We don't want to die. But is there anything wrong in dying? Is dying bad? Just like when the squirrel got eaten by the fox, was that bad, or was that just death? Was that just something happening? And again, I'm really not telling you guys to go out and do anything that would put you in danger. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just trying to get you to realize that we put all these labels on life: good and bad, right and wrong, don't do that, don't get hurt, don't feel bad. They're all just experiences. They're all just sensations. They're all just stimuli. They're all just data from the universe that we interpret and put labels on. So back to the original question: who should you take advice from? Who knows the truth? All these people on social media, all these people on TV, all telling you, I'm happy, I'm successful, you should take advice from me, buy my book, sign up for my course, I'll teach you how to be happy. There's shadow work, there's yoga, there's meditation, there's self-inquiry, there's fasting, there's dieting, there's all these different things, man. And it's like, whoa, it's kind of like overload. Like, what do I do? And I've done a lot of these things, man. I've been doing personal development now since I was 20 years old. So for the past 14 years, I've been doing all kinds of different personal development. I've read a lot of books. I've done a lot of meditating. I've done a lot of self-inquiry. I've done a lot of shadow work. And I've learned valuable things from all of those experiences. I've done a lot of shadow work, and shadow work is something that's kind of like a hot topic right now. Everyone's talking about, oh, you got to look at your emotions, you got to process your trauma. And, I've had some really interesting experiences doing that. And then you'll have some teachers that say, shadow work is actually not good for you because you're focusing on something negative. You should be focusing on attracting positive things into your life. You should be staying in a high vibration and not going down to these dark, negative, low vibration places within you. And then, you have some people that say, oh, you should just do nothing. You should just become a monk and just sit in the woods or sit in the mountains and just don't move and you'll become enlightened, and I've tried that too, man. I've done 4 hours of strong determination meditation before, where I literally sat in a chair and did not move for 4 hours. And it was one of the craziest things I've ever done, man. I got glimpses of reality that I have never received in my life. And it was some of the most beautiful moments of my life were doing those strong determination meditations, where I was sitting for 3 hours, 4 hours in a chair without moving. My mind got so still and I just became life itself. I was no longer Ross. I was just reality. And it was truly an amazing experience. Just total peace, total happiness. I wish I could have stayed in those moments forever. They were fleeting moments. I mean, they only lasted a couple seconds, and then my mind would jump back in and say, oh, well, yeah, I'm Ross. I'm the ego, but when you get to moments where your mind disappears for a couple seconds, a couple minutes, those are some of the most peaceful, beautiful states that I've ever experienced. I can't speak for everyone, but for me, they were just incredible. And, sitting out here in the woods, not moving, it is really, really peaceful. I love doing this. No one bothers me. I don't have any deadlines that I have to hit. I'm just here. I'm just present in nature. I just kind of let my mind wander. I think about things that are on my mind. And every now and then, every couple minutes while I'm sitting here, I'll ask myself, who is observing these thoughts? Who is watching these thoughts go by? And every time I do that, I realize, slowly but surely, I realize that I am the observer of life. I am the observer of everything. Every sight, every sound, every smell, every thought, every feeling. I am the observer. I am not Ross. I am the conscious point behind the eyes of Ross. I am a field of consciousness that is using Ross as an avatar to plug me into this virtual reality that we are all currently experiencing. So these bodies are our avatars. They are our meat suits. We are consciousness creating these bodies. We are consciousness creating this reality, and we are experiencing it under the assumption that we are separate from it, because that makes life interesting. But in actuality, we are just everything. We are all one. We are all life. There is no separation. And yeah, I'm just going to speak for myself. I'm not going to tell you guys what you should be doing. But I think it's important that all spiritual teachers kind of have this approach where they talk about their own experience, what they've seen, what they've learned, what has worked for them, and are just open and honest about it. And not trying to sell you something, not trying to get you to sign up for a course, just being real, just saying, when I do this, I feel happy. When I have done this in the past, this has worked. Because at the end of the day, we all want to be happy. I think that's the bottom line. I think we are all looking for happiness and love and joy, but we're looking for it in really kind of messed up ways. We're looking for it through stimulation, social media, TV, drugs, and all this partying and stuff, and gambling. We're all looking for happiness, but none of that is real happiness. Even money, wealth, all these things are just kind of like a band-aid for a broken leg. What real happiness is, in my opinion, is the ability to just exist wherever you are, no matter what's going on around you, and just be happy with being alive. Life is truly the most beautiful thing you will ever see. Life is happening right now, every second of every day of your life. All that there is right now, this present moment. And most people are blind to that. Most people do not realize that life is happening right now, and that this present moment is all there is. And the reason that they don't realize that is because their mind has put a dark cloud, a confusing cloud in front of them of worry and doubt and fear and anger and all these things I have to do. And it takes you out of the present moment. But the present moment, man, it is pretty amazing. And when I've done these long meditations, I just get glimpses of how truly wonderful life is, how just so peaceful it is, and how complex yet so simple it is, and how beautiful it is, and how infinite life is. It's infinite. It is infinite in every sense of the word. It goes on for trillions of light years in every single direction. And it's just so complex. It's so interwoven. It's so smooth. It's just incredible. Absolutely incredible. And you can get there through meditation. There's a lot of different types of meditation out there. You can get there through shadow work. You can get there through diet. You can get there through mantras and visualization and astral projection. There's a lot of different ways. They all lead to this one truth, and this one truth is that you are consciousness. You are not your body, you are not your ego. They are aspects of you, but you are not that. You are the observer of those things. And when you get to that place, that's a special place to get to. It's really very exciting. And it takes a little bit of work. Some people do it a lot faster than others. Some people it takes a while, but we can all get there. And I think that's what life is moving towards. It's moving towards this state where we are all happy, we are all in love, we are all kind to one another, where society is thriving and people are getting together, and people can get together and have responsible, conscious conversations and meet each other where they are and connect with one another on an emotional level, not an egoic, hateful level, on an emotional, understanding level where we might not agree right now, but let's come to an agreement through our words, through our actions. Let's care for one another. Let's raise the vibration of this planet through each other by giving, by caring, by doing acts of service. Let's all grow. Let's all move towards enlightenment together. I think that's what God ultimately wants. And so we all have this guidance system. We all have these emotions that tell us what feels good and what feels bad. And I think the more you do things that make you feel good, and the more you do things that make other people feel good, the better you will feel, and the better life will be, and the happier God will be. Whatever God is, whatever the definition you give to God, we all just want to be happy. I think even God wants to be happy, and we do that through love.